Hi everyone! Welcome back to my channel TheStampCat Stamps, where I share with you all of the fun things that I learned from my stamp collection. Today I have a question for all of the non-Canadian viewers out there, and that question is, have you heard of Winnipeg? Now if you live in Canada, I'm 100% sure you've heard of Winnipeg, but I'm just curious to know, if you live elsewhere in the world, have you heard of this city? Winnipeg is the capital city of the province of Manitoba here in Canada. It's a decently large city with a population of 825,000. In 2021, it made Time magazine's list of world's 100 greatest places. So, maybe you've heard of Winnipeg before, maybe you haven't, but here is a world-famous character that I'm sure you're familiar with. It's Winnie-the-Pooh! Winnie-the-Pooh actually has some Canadian origins, and this souvenir sheet, issued in 1996 by Canada Post, tells us that story. So let's have a look at these stamps one at a time. The story begins in 1914, during the First World War, when a veterinarian named Harry Colburn was heading across the country to embark for duty overseas with the Canadian Army. Remember, in the time of the First World War, it was still common to get around on horseback, so military regiments needed a veterinarian to look after the animals. Lieutenant Colburn's train stopped at White River, Ontario, which was a common stopping point for trains to refuel and undergo some routine maintenance. While he was there, he ended up buying a baby black bear cub from a local trapper. He named the bear Winnipeg after his hometown. The bear, who was a girl by the way, was nicknamed Winnie and quickly became a beloved unofficial mascot for his military unit. She was quite coddled by the men and enjoyed being fed a treat of condensed milk and corn syrup. Winnie even ended up traveling with them across the Atlantic to London, England, where the unit would undergo combat training before heading to the battlefront in France. When it was time for Harry's regiment to join the fighting, he knew that the front would be no place for a little bear, so he left her in the care of the London Zoo. She became quite a popular attraction because she was so tame and used to being around people. At the time, they even let children go into the pen with her and pet her and feed her. Winnie was particularly admired by a small boy named Christopher Robin Milne, who loved Winnie so much that he promptly went home from the zoo and renamed his stuffed animal bear after her. Christopher's father was none other than the author Alan Alexander Milne, who drew inspiration for his books, The Adventures of Winnie-the-Pooh and Christopher Robin, from watching his son's adventures with his stuffed animals. As we know, the books were a hit in the UK and then all over the world. Now Winnie-the-Pooh has been translated into over 50 languages and is loved by children and adults worldwide, and since the 1960s has become part of the Walt Disney family. In addition to these Winnie-the-Pooh stamps issued by Canada, I also have these stamps issued by Japan. All of these are from the Greetings Disney Characters series. I have one from the 2015 issue showing classic Pooh artwork, one from 2014 with Winnie looking in a honey pot, and my personal favorite from 2013, Pooh and Piglet together in a hot air balloon. What happened to the real Winnie and Lieutenant Colburn? He did survive the war, but decided to leave Winnie at the London Zoo permanently. She was getting on pretty well there and also growing quite big. He returned to Canada and eventually started a private veterinary practice in Winnipeg, where he lived out the rest of his days. There's actually a statue of Lieutenant Colburn bottle feeding Winnie the Bear in Winnipeg's Assiniboine Park Zoo. Maybe we should go and see it. addition to this statue, there's an entire Winnie-the-Pooh exhibit inside the Assiniboine Park Pavilion. The exhibit is free and has lots of information about the story behind Winnie-the-Pooh. When you're done with the Winnie-the-Pooh exhibit, there are multiple art exhibitions on display in the pavilion as well. I would definitely suggest a visit to Assiniboine Park as one of the fun things to do in Winnipeg. I wonder if there are any other sites around Winnipeg that have been featured on postage stamps. Well, guess you're about to find out. Stay tuned for part 2.